And can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay. So I had a thing happen where I wanted to record my children jumping into the pool at 60 frames a second, just for fun, just to have like slow motion. Yeah, and I had left my memory cards here. So I did some hunting, and I got a pack of memory cards with their own wallet.
Steve with the good first blood.
Yep.
And good morning. How we doing this morning?
Dude, like, seriously, here it is in June, and Georgia can't make up its mind. It's 69 degrees outside. It's going to be 99 degrees in, like, 4 hours.
Yep.
But it's 69 degrees right now.
And I tell you what, air conditioning is one of those things I will spend money on.
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing to me. It's sort of like you go back a century, and it just...
Yeah. Not even a century. There are people watching the show right now that remember not having an air conditioner. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for you. So, okay, we've got some stuff to talk about this morning, economic stuff, but I just want to tell you all a funny little story that happened yesterday. I went to shoot real estate photography for a house in not the neighborhood, and I get there, and it's not a bad little house. It had all new countertops, all new laminated the fake hardwood floors, right? But as soon as I open the door, I see that the house is in ruins. Doors smashed off hinges. Not a single sheetrock wall in the house has not had holes kicked or punched in it. Looks like somebody went through with a sledgehammer. Smashed light fixtures, every mirror in the house. There were 3 toilets in the house. 2 of them had been shat in and not flushed, and the third one had been smashed off its flange, right? The house was a disaster. So as soon as I pushed the door open and saw that it was like that, I set my tripod down, and I didn't draw, but I put my hand on my piece, and I cleared the house. Then I went in and I shot the pictures. So I checked. The electricity was on, but there were only 2 working light fixtures in the entire building. And of those 2, neither of them had more than 1 working light bulb in them. Like, one of them was this kind of chandelier thing. It looked like somebody had just been throwing things at it to smash the light bulbs out of it. So I go ahead and shoot the house, and then I call my guy, and I tell him, hey, here's what happened. And he said, Chris, I think you're the only photographer we have that wouldn't have looked at that and just immediately walked away and refused to shoot it. And I said, yeah, but bruh, gas is like $5. I drove all the way over here. I got to get paid. You better believe that if I drove over here, I'm getting paid for something.
Yeah, and that's what it amounts to. That is what it amounts to. And Andrea asks, foreclosure owner got pissed It sounds like that's what you encountered, because that's a thing that when people get foreclosed on their house.
It is a thing. I don't think that was the case here, based on the remodel inside, and I won't say the name of the company, but there's a sign on the front door. There's a company that owns the house that's like one of those rental clearinghouse type of companies. So clearly, what happened, I think, is they had it remodeled. It's been sitting vacant for at least some time. And in that period, they had squatters, because among all the debris from just the destroyed house, the stove ripped away from the wall and flipped on its side and shoved into the dining room, there was also a bunch of food trash, candy wrappers, chip wrappers, soda cans, liquor bottles, cigarette butts all over the place, discarded, filthy clothing. I think it basically got turned into a crack den, or maybe just a couple of squatters hiding out. And take all the copper pipe before they got to leave. Yeah, so there was actually a cage in the backyard, turned over on one side, next to where an AC unit used to be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Speaking of, the rent is too damn high.
The rent is too damn high!
Boy.
I just showed somebody that video last night. That's funny. Schmo yo-ho.
Anyhow, speaking of the rent is too damn high. Y'all remember, I don't know, when gas was not $4 or $5 a gallon?
You mean when Donald Trump was the president?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Like, seriously, when inflation was not constantly breaking records, when they tell you that inflation is like 7, 8, 9%, when, yes. When they tell you that inflation's only like 7, 8, 9%, but in reality, inflation feels to us in our pocketbooks to be even more expensive than that, and you can't buy a pack of chicken for less than $10. To rent a basic bitch house is $2,000 a month, and
to your point about inflation feels worse than the 8 or 9% they're telling us now. It is a fact that there is a new model for calculating inflation, and when they say that inflation is 8-9%, you have to remember also that against the same economic mathematic models that were used to calculate the last highest trend in inflation, with those equations, the current inflation rate is closer to 18%. It's like 17.89.
Yeah, and when you cross double-digit territory, that's when sane economists, foreshadowing, when sane economists say, "Hey, you're kind of flirting with a depression there, bub. You might want to slow down." Which brings us to Robert Reich, who we call Robert Fourth Reich because it's
No, keep going. Do you want the article first, or do you want his tweet first?
Oh, definitely his tweet.
Okay.
Definitely his stupid bullshit tweet. Okay. Which brings us to Robert Fourth Reich, the esteemed economist that the left just worships. Okay. Anytime you want to bring it up, that's fine. It's just I utterly detest and cannot stand this lying piece of shit. Okay, he's got multiple degrees. He's written multiple books. He's worked for presidents. Okay, and he says, "Why is the Fed raising interest rates? Because it assumes that inflation is being driven by wage increases. That's incorrect. Wages are lagging behind inflation. More accurate, corporations with outsized market power are driving up prices for profit." He's a commie lying piece of shit, okay? He's not wrong. He's not incorrect. He's lying. And Chris, why is he lying? Why? Please tell us, why is he lying?
You know what? It's funny you should ask, because Michael Madsen asks the question, hey, is this show about math? Why is Robert Fourth Reich lying? This show is about math. And let me help you understand something, ladies and gentlemen. Math is God. Now, I don't mean that in some hyperbolic, metaphoric kind of way. right? In the same way that God is love, it is not the case that love is an attribute of God or an emotion that he expresses. It is that the two things are identical and inseparable. They do not exist distinctly. God is math. And this godless heathen son of a whore
Kami
wants you to be part of the slave caste, beneath a police caste, beneath a one-world elite government that has no military, because you are all slaves. He wants you to eat the bugs and live in the pods. So I was explaining this to somebody last night. Inflation, high gas prices, right? A lot of people believe that we have inflation and high gas prices because of mistakes made by President Joe Biden in his energy and economic policies. But that's not the case.
Well, it's partially true.
Not at all.
Well, it's partially true. Bad policy is going to contribute to these things.
You missed the crux of the question. Bad policy is not why we have inflation and high gas prices. We have high gas prices and inflation because, here's the why. People like this, people like Biden, people like Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, these people, they want you poor. Understand, the common wisdom on the subject is that rich people vote for Republicans and poor people vote for Democrats. Quite simply, it's a question of supply and demand. The Democrat has a high demand for poor people. The why of inflation, gas prices, increased cost of and just basic cost of living is because they want your money devalued so that you are more poor. The bad policies are not a mistake. They are a plan.
Yeah, they're a
They are
feature,
not
not
the
a
why.
bug.
They are not the why. They are the how. Right? They are the plan. They are the mechanism. They're not a reason. They're a tool.
So let me. Steve Rodemeyer says he actually tweeted that. What school of economics promotes that BS? And Crackshot322 says, "Lol, inflation is caused by printing money." Dan Burke says math doesn't care what you think. And then
Crackshot's getting ahead of us.
And then Crackshot's getting ahead of us, right? But we're getting there. And then Steve, of course, says it's not a bug, it's a feature. That's right, because guys like Robert Reich are Keynesian, socialist, Marxist. Steve, so what kind of economic school promotes this BS? Marxist ones.
And
Duh.
Keynesians.
It's right there. Marxist. So let's just be real, okay? Part of this is on Donald Trump, and part of this is on Biden, and it all revolves around the stupid pandemic that actually wasn't really that bad of a pandemic, but we added an additional $3-ish trillion in debt, which means we printed that damn money in the last year of Donald Trump. And then the very first thing Joe Biden did, like his signature 100 days chef's kiss legislation, was to pass the American Rescue Plan, the ARP. Okay, which the CBO scored at another 1.9 trillion, and boy, that's its own show when the CBO scores things, okay? But we'll just use the CBO's number. That means in a period of about 28 months or so, we dumped another 5-ish trillion in currency on the market. Folks, that's why we have inflation, because we added $5 trillion to the money supply like that. That's why it's no-brainer, and this is why Robert Reich is a lying piece of shit. He knows this. He absolutely 100% knows this. Oh, to suggest, it's being driven by wage increases? Who do you know that has ever said anything other than minimum wage has an effect on prices that you pay as a consumer? absolutely 100% nobody. But now this Marxist piece of shit is going to put it in your brain. Because you see what he's going to do? He's going to say you, the proletariat, has got to fight these evil bourgeois capitalists, right? It's their profits that are causing inflation, not your wages. You're just working hard trying to pay your rent, which is too damn high. And somehow it's BP's fault that you can't pay your rent anymore. And I cannot stand this man.
Yeah, it's just greedy corporations. It's just greedy corporations. I'm going to move these headphones over here because you need to hear this.
Okay, I will do a listen.
And was it Rebel Jack that got ahead of us?
I think it was Crackshot.
Oh, Crackshot that got ahead of us.
He choked off the supply of oil. Yeah.
No. The printing money causes inflation. I'm going to play you guys just a little clip from this pretty old, actually, documentary.
The reason we have inflation in the United States, or for that matter anywhere in the world, is because these pieces of paper and the accompanying book entry, or their counterparts in other nations, are growing more rapidly than the quantity of goods and services produced. The truth is, inflation is made in one place and one place only, here in Washington. This is the only place where there are presses like this that turn out these pieces of paper we call money. This is a place where the power resides to determine how rapidly the amount of money shall increase.
It is that simple. The way inflation works, to understand it, you have to understand what a dollar is. There's a big damn difference between wealth, money, property, and currency. These are not interchangeable words. They are very, very different things. So what currency is a representation of your individual command of the money supply. What happens when you print more dollars is not that you increase the money supply, right? And we've got economists, professional economists right now talking about the problem of inflation being related to the increase in the money supply by the printing of dollars. That's not the trick. The money supply is a non-constant, but it is an ever-increasing non-constant, which is distinct from the number of dollars that exist. If the money supply is your pie, the number of dollars is the number of slices the pie is cut into. So every time you bring another fat ass to the table and try to get another slice out of that pie, your slice has to get smaller for that to happen. Now, the money supply can grow and you can bake more pies, but you cannot create more pie by cutting the pie into smaller pieces. The problem with fiat currencies in this context is that the currency is utterly divorced from the value of any commodity, and so its value is only related to the fractionalization of the actual money supply that is represented by the total number of dollars as a fraction over one. Right? That doesn't have to be true if the currency is tied to a commodity. If there's a commodity, then you can mine more, you can produce more, you can discover more, you can increase the supply of the commodity. And when you increase the supply of the commodity against which the value of the currency is measured, then you're actually increasing the size of the individual pies.
So, first of all, JDF, thank you. And that's a fantastic profile picture you have there. So, we would also like to grow. We would. We currently get paid in love for this.
JDF sent us $30.
What?
And we appreciate it.
Oh my!
I think it was 30.
You know what we need, dude? We need a separate set of badges for people that, do things like buy us coffee.
Money badges.
Yeah, definitely.
It should be a bag.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So
it should be $1. It should be a bag of money on an arrow that hits one of us a cartoon representation in the face.
Well, you get on that. Your machine has more power than mine, so.
And I know how to make animations.
Right. Right. Okay, and then Rebel Jack says, is whipped cream inflation? And then Yogi Berra, you better cut the pizza into 4 slices. I can't eat 6 slices.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. That's fantastic. I would contend that the only reason the dollar has not already collapsed because of our absolutely stupendously stupid policies with regard to money is because it's tied to oil. Like, the reserve currency, that has helped, okay? But the fact that oil's traded in dollars, that's the only thing saving us. And it's funny, it's almost like you would choke off the supply of oil on purpose if you were just an evil communist son of a bitch who wanted to do evil things like that. What are you doing?
You keep talking.
Oh, thank you. So, and look, no big fan of Larry Summers am I, okay? But we need to understand that the Biden administration was told, hey, look, we already had an absolute shit show. We simultaneously shut down the economy and spent way too much money the last portion of the Trump presidency. And now you guys want to jam through another $1.9 trillion. In fact, originally they didn't want to pass the ARP. They wanted to pass the the Build Back Better plan, which in and of itself was some $4 trillion.
Yep.
Right, so the 1.9 trillion is the compromise bill.
Well, and there was a brief period of several weeks before the ARP was kind of overtook the Build Back Better plan. There was a brief couple of weeks where it looked like they were going to try to pass them both, and it was going to total just under 10 trillion.
Something like that. Like, you reach a certain point where it's like, what's the thing?
It's like, come on, creepy Joe. It took Biden almost a full 8 years to triple the debt.
You mean Obama?
Obama, yeah. It took Obama almost a full 8-year period to triple the debt.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's the whose line is it anyway? It's like, everybody gets 1 million points because the points don't matter anyway. Like, that's what it's. Sure, everybody gets $1 trillion because the dollars don't matter anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
Joe Biden is about to have been responsible for turning an American citizenship into a participation trophy.
Ouch. Okay, but here's the deal.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I thought that happened when we started tolerating birthright citizenship with anchor babies, but fuck a court. Why should we expect them to do anything? Why should we expect them to uphold a law?
So anyhow, the thing that you and I and you guys out there, and really a thing that you could make like a 13-year-old understand in basic economics, okay, is that this is how inflation is going to work. It's predictable that if you flood the supply, you're going to throw everything else out of whack. It's just a simple fact. And I see your comment, OLDMANCRAFT. Trump added $7 trillion. Yes, we actually discussed that in the last year of his presidency, that he's responsible for about $3 trillion of the $4.9 trillion to which we're referring. Okay. So anyhow,
but of the other $4 trillion that you're referring to, OLDMANCRAFT, the majority of that, nearly 3/4, is interest service on the debt that came into the office with him.
Oh, the participation trophy line. I already know.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that was. Come on, keep up, son. You said it. So yes, yeah, it's the perfect combination of the pandemic and we're just gonna watch you tweet now.
They can't see me right now. They see this.
Oh, I see. Boy, you're making this so much more complicated than it needs to be. Can you tweet it after the show, maybe? In like 6 minutes? Yes, I'm shaming him in front of you guys. It's okay. He makes fun of me in front of you guys all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I could have already finished the tweet, but you wouldn't be confused if you understood how the software works.
Yes. Okay, but for real, I want to get back to Larry Summers. The point is, everybody saw this coming, okay? Not only are we going to dump all this extra money on the market, but we've also literally locked down the majority of the world. So we've retarded economic growth, and now we've increased the money supply.
You said retard.
Ooh, Does anybody have a guess what the net effect of that is going to be? You think it's going to be lots of inflation? Because I think it's going to be lots of inflation. And Larry Summers, and look, I want you to understand that I pulled up this specific CNN article because it is from May of 2021. The ARP had already been passed for about 6 weeks, okay? And which was because it was passed in late March, I think, was when they passed the American Rescue Plan.
So.
Well, this article comes from May. And
May
this
of
is
last year again.
Yeah, May of last year again. And this is Larry Summers, not a Republican.
Not at all.
Worked for Bill Clinton. Worked for Barack Obama. Larry Summers.
Larry Summers.
Okay.
Right. He president of Harvard University, chief economist of the World Bank, Undersecretary of the Treasury for Internal Affairs, 7th United States Deputy Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton, 71st United States Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton, and then he went away for a little while, and then he was the 8th Director of the National Economic Council under Barack Obama. Not a Republican.
Not a Republican. And Larry Summers says...
And just this is pertinent. Field of macroeconomics, school or tradition of New Keynesian economics. He's a Keynesian, right? This is a guy whose economic policy is riots are good because smashed windows create jobs for the window builders.
Yes.
And that's not me hyperbolizing the example. That is the example that Keynes used.
Look, that is the thing that these people believe. My ex-wife was visiting a cousin who lives in Europe. They're standing outside smoking. He flicks a cigarette on the sidewalk, and she's like, it was kind of nasty. And he said, no, it's great. I created a job for somebody.
Yeah.
And he meant it. Right? So anyhow.
I'm sure the squatters that smashed up that house I was shooting yesterday were thrilled at all the jobs they just created.
Yeah, I bet.
You kidding me? I just sold like $12,000 worth of sheetrock.
That's right. I got to do crack and I put somebody to work. This is talk about winning, and I don't have to bathe. What?
Now that's tiger blood. Grrr.
Anyhow, Larry Summers is urging Washington to tap the brakes on stimulus or risk unleashing a serious burst of inflation. I think policy is rather overdoing it, Summers said in a recorded comments at a CoinDesk conference that were released on Wednesday. The sense of serenity and complacency being projected by the economic policymakers, that is all something that can easily be managed, is misplaced. That is a whole lot of words to say, guys. You need to spend less money. See, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but Keynesians believe that you can stimulate economic growth by spending money from the government side and pumping it directly into the economy. And they've actually got some, I'm going to call them mathematical formulas that you're supposed to follow when you do that. Okay? And part of what Larry Summers is pointing out is that, hey, you guys are moving outside the mathematical formulas. Like, if there is a deficit in the economy of $50 billion, okay, you don't spend $60 billion making up the deficit in the economy. And I'm using an extremely simplified version. You're right. I don't. You don't. Okay. But apparently the federal fucking government does. Okay. But you don't spend $60 billion making up for a $50 billion deficit in the economy. You actually have a net negative effect when you do that. Now, of course, I would say you don't spend a single dollar making up for a $50 billion deficit. Instead, you get stupid policies out of the way, like, I don't know, lockdowns, so that there stops being a deficit in the economy. But that's neither here nor there, okay?
And there's a big damn difference between there being a deficit in the economy and there being a federal budget deficit. Those are two very different things.
Okay, so what Larry Summers is saying is, hey, even in my Keynesian world, you dudes are going too fast. You're about to screw up bad, okay? You're going to... Essentially, there's a break point even in their screwed up Marxist math. And Larry Summers is saying, you guys are about to pass the break point. And when you do, it's difficult to predict how bad the inflation is going to get. Now, to be fair, Larry Summers has since walked some of these comments back because he's a Keynesian Marxist shitburger, almost
Right.
as bad as Robert Fourth Reich. Because anytime you see that Keynesian label, that is a really nice way of saying commie. Just bear that in mind. And commies lie. It's what they do. They can't win if they tell you the truth. They just can't. And it's funny, now that the very inflation that he has predicted has occurred, it suddenly occurred to him, oh man, this might hurt the party line. Maybe I should walk some. Now, to be fair, he's kind of walked the comments back. He hasn't exactly said he's wrong. Instead, he said, I may have overstated how bad the problem would be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, some of that, those nice weasel words.
It cost me $100 to fill up my truck. You have not overstated the problem, commie.
Yeah, it cost me, so far, the highest gas total I've ever had in my life happened just a few days ago. I was dumb and drove my car all the way to the point of the dummy light coming on. Yeah, $78 and some change for a Nissan Altima.
I let my dummy light come on yesterday just because I was trying to get to an appointment, and I knew that there was a gas station right down the street from it because it was kind of in town. What I did not know until it was too late was that gas at that station was $4.80. So I got $10 and found another gas station.
Yeah.
For $4.25.
Which, God, and what kind of, do you
Right.
remember?
We've talked about this before. I remember when it happened after 9/11, and then again under Obama. I said I had these feelings. I would see gas for like $1 less than whatever or 50 cents less than whatever the outrageous high was everywhere else, and be like, oh hey, I'm saving some money. Son of a bitch. No, this is not normal. This price that's 50 cents less than the crazy high price I just paid a minute ago is still almost triple what gas was 2 years ago.
Yeah. I sure could go for some $1.99 gas and mean tweets right about now. But don't worry, guys. At January 6th hearing, that's what you need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, pay no attention to the Colbert employees' insurrection behind the curtain.
Yeah, pay no attention to the fact that we're coming to the point to where just to live the average middle class lifestyle, you need a household income of like $72,000. Brother, I don't know if you remember this, but just a couple of years ago, household income of $72,000 was good money. I mean, not like get rich forever unless you had some judicious investments.
It was
but
okay.
that was good.
You do all right at $72,000.
But now that's your break-even point. Excuse me. Wait a minute. I need to just wait a minute. So,
and don't forget the tax bracket. Once you break 100, 110, the tax bracket is designed to slap you right back down to 70.
Oh yeah. Well, Chris, it's a graduated tax system, so you only get taxed on that extra money you make. You don't pay that inflated rate on your normal money. You only pay it on your extra money.
There's no such thing as extra money. There is only more.
Especially if you shitburgers are going to inflate the value of it away.
Oh, shit.
So, anyhow, we're coming up on 8, and I just want to punch this home one more time. This is one that I really pushed for because I utterly detest Robert Fourth Reich. Seriously, if you made a top 10 list of people, I would not be sad if they got hit by a bus. Like, hey, maybe you should go for a drive with Ted Kennedy. Just a suggestion, okay? Robert Fourth Reich would be on that list because not only is he a communist piece of shit, not only, and again, he's not wrong, he lies to you. The Democrats want to cause harm. It is how they stay in business. Chris talked about the supply and demand. Okay, Republicans are for rich people and Democrats are for poor people. Man, that means Republicans want more rich people and Democrats want more poor people. It's real simple. Okay?
And that's for Steve. Cam's using the Fourth Reich clock. 8:03 is not coming up on 8 o'clock. You know what, Steve? You're right. Y'all be safe. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
No, I'm fine. I just let me just say. I promise I'll punch it home right here. It's the fact that he's penetrated, and he's a social media presence that you will see his tweets and videos shared on Facebook and Twitter as some type of gospel. Just makes me want to vomit. And that's it. That's where I was going to stop anyway.
Okay.
And that's a fantastic comment, Steve. I love it.
No, I'm good. We'll close on vomit.